Hey there. Welcome. We've all had that great feeling of solving a math problem and getting the right answer. But what if I told you that's really only half the battle? Today, we're going to go on a journey to uncover the hidden skills, the habits of mind, that really define what it means to think like a mathematician.
So let's kick things off with a big question. What does it actually mean to be good at math? Is it just about being super fast or getting a perfect score in a test? Or is it something deeper? For a long time, the answer seemed pretty simple, but it turns out that was only part of the story. For ages, math class was all about the what. We learned about things like geometry, algebra, all those content domains. And look, those are the building blocks. They're the bricks of mathematics, and they are absolutely crucial. But just knowing what a brick is, well, that's not the same as knowing how to build a house, right? And that's where the how comes in. All right, so here's our roadmap for this little journey. First, we're going to look beyond just getting the right answers. Then we'll take that all-important first step, making sense of problems. After that, we'll pack our thinker's toolkit and learn how to see the bigger picture. Then we'll see how all this practice and content come together before we finally reach our destination, genuine mathematical thinking. Okay, let's start our journey. We are officially moving beyond just the content to really look at the process. This is where we introduce the how of actually doing math. And here they are, the standards for mathematical practice, or MPs for short. Now, don't think of these as just more topics to memorize. Think of them as the skills and mindsets of a powerful problem solver. These are the habits of a mathematical mind. On our journey, these aren't just the map. They're the act of traveling itself. Every great journey begins with a single step. And in mathematics, that first step is always the same: making sense of the problem and having the grit to see it through. This is our very first mathematical practice, MP1. Now, this isn't a passive thing, not at all. It's super active. First, you have to dig in and really understand what's being asked. Then, you've got to map out a path forward, come up with a strategy. And this is the big one. When you hit a wall, and you will, you persist. You try a different path. You just keep going. It's kind of like a jigsaw puzzle. You wouldn't just start jamming pieces together randomly, would you? Of course not. You'd look at the picture on the box, you'd sort out the edge pieces, and you'd start to get a feel for how it all fits. That's exactly what this first practice is all about. Okay, so we've taken our first step. Now it's time to pack our toolkit. Any good problem solver needs the right tools for the job. We're going to look at a few of these, which are all about how we represent and work with ideas. And this includes some really crucial skills that aren't even listed here, like being able to build a logical argument and communicating with precision. Those are the true hallmarks of a mathematician. Our first tool is all about translation, and it's a two-way street. First, you take a messy, real-world situation and you translate it into the clean language of numbers and symbols. That's what we call abstract reasoning. But then, and this is so important, you have to travel back. You take that numerical answer you got and explain what it actually means in the context of the original story. That's quantitative reasoning. Another absolutely essential tool is modeling. This is about taking a real-world situation and creating a mathematical representation of it, a kind of simplified version that you can actually work with and analyze. And proficient students, well, they have a whole workshop of these tools at their disposal. They know when to grab some physical objects, when to sketch out a graph, or build a table, or just write a formula. The key isn't just picking the right tool, but using it with precision to get a result that's clear and accurate. So, we have our starting point and our tools. Now we need a map. A really good mathematician knows how to read the landscape, how to see the patterns and the underlying structure of a problem, and that's where our next set of practices comes in. Structure is literally everywhere in math, and proficient students learn to see it. They can look at a complex design, like this beautiful quilt, and they see more than just colors. They see the repeated shapes, the symmetry, the geometric relationships. They see the hidden rules that govern the whole design. And once you can see the structure, you start to notice repetition. You see the same thing happening over and over and over. This practice is all about using that insight to find general methods, or what you might call shortcuts. Now, this isn't about being lazy. It's about being efficient. It's about understanding the logic so well you can create a rule for it. Okay, so we've talked about the journey, the tools, and the map. Now let's see how it all comes together. We're going to look at a classic geometry problem and see how a student uses both their content knowledge and these practice standards to solve it. So here's the challenge. And notice, it's not just about reciting a formula. The question is, how can a student show this is true? How can they prove it, both to themselves and to other people? To tackle this, a student needs two things. They absolutely need the what. That's the content knowledge about shapes from geometry. And they need the how, the thinking skills from the mathematical practices. One without the other just isn't going to get them there.
And right here, this is where the magic happens. Look at this thinking process. The student starts by taking a simple tool, a piece of paper, and folding it. That's MP5, using tools strategically, and it's applied to their knowledge of geometry. Through that one action, they have an aha moment. The triangle is exactly half the rectangle. That's MP7. They're seeing the underlying structure. And by doing this, they're building a viable argument to prove their case. And finally, they translate that discovery into the clean, formal language of math. A equals 1/2 base times height. That's MP2, reasoning abstractly from a physical object to an algebraic rule. This is what real mathematical thinking looks like in action.
And so, we've arrived at our destination. We've seen how these practices work. But why does this whole journey matter so much? I mean, what's the ultimate goal here?
I think this quote from Skewed Gutter just says it all perfectly. The whole point of all these practices isn't to add more steps or to make math harder. No, it's to give students the power to cut through all the complexity and find the simple, elegant structure that's hiding underneath. It's about creating clarity.
Because at the end of the day, the goal isn't just to produce human calculators who can find an answer. It's to develop thoughtful, resilient, creative problem solvers who actually understand the process, who can explain their reasoning, and who know not just what to do, but why they're doing it. And that right there is a skill that lasts a lifetime.